If your breakup still owns your mind, I'm going to show you how to get her out of your system in 90 days or less and come out tougher, smarter, and harder to hurt next time. We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. Welcome to the show, fellas. Happy hump day. My name is Paul Bauer. If you're new to the channel, I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, a lot of men think time alone will fix a breakup, and it won't. If you keep replaying the past, checking her socials, and hoping she comes back, you can stay stuck for months or even years. Today, I'm going to show you how to break that pattern, rebuild yourself in 90 days or less, and come out more confident, more disciplined, and far less likely to end up in the same mess again. So stay with me, because by the end, I'm going to show you why most men stay trapped and what to do instead. Now, if you are a guy that's recently divorced, recently broken up, or maybe you've just been spiraling for the last several months. You know, we had, you're not alone, by the way. We had a guy join the wolf pack maybe a couple months ago. And when he joined, he had been through a really nasty breakup for, he was still getting over it like a year and a half before he finally decided to join the wolf pack. So if you're in that spot, just don't beat yourself up over it. Okay. There's a lot of guys that they just can't get her out of their mind. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. But I'll tell you this, you're probably not heartbroken. Okay. You are probably hooked on hope. Okay. So what's keeping you stuck isn't love. It's the fantasy that's replaying in your head. You're thinking about old memories. You're checking her socials. You're waiting for one text that changes everything. And so you're basically stuck in a pattern of waiting. You're just waiting. And the thing is that time just keeps going. Time keeps going, and you're staying in the same place and you're not moving forward. And the sad thing is she's not thinking about you at all. She's already moved on. She probably moved on before she even dumped you, bro. Okay. I don't think a lot of guys quite understand how much women monkey branch. Like it's not all women monkey branch, but a vast majority of them do. They will not drop that brick in your lap until they've got their next guy lined up in their sights. And so that's often why when you break up with a girl, she's already got pictures like a week or two later of another guy. It's because that guy was there to begin with. She might have been cheating on you at the end. Okay. Not all women cheat, right? But they have at least been talking to that guy. That's probably her work husband or whatever nonsense, right? So she's moved on. She's not even thinking about you anymore. And you're hoping against hope that she's going to come to her senses, that guy's just a rebound, and that she's going to come back and she's eventually going to reach out. You know, one of the greatest breakup movies of all time is the movie Swingers, which if you haven't seen the movie Swingers, just hearing the name of the title turns a lot of guys off. They're like, what? I don't want to watch a movie where dudes are swapping their girlfriends or their wives. That's not what the movie's about. The term swingers in the movie refers to swing dancing, but it's the greatest breakup movie in history, I think. And we did a live watch party of it a couple of months ago in Wolfpack for guys that are going through breakups and stuff like that. But it really shows how a lot of guys get when it comes to a breakup. They just can't get over this chick. And one little funny thing in that movie is at the beginning of the movie, I think Jon Favreau like messes up a line and he says, "It's been 6 years. It's been 6 years since she dumped me," right? But then later in the movie, you find out it's only 6 months, right? It's only been 6 months. Feels like 6 years though. But you're not heartbroken, okay? You are hooked on hope, and you are stuck in a pattern of waiting. By the way, guys, I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications, would you? So you are not going to get over her by sitting around and waiting. Okay. You get over her by doing the work, right? So I wrote a book, Forget That Bitch, written specifically for guys who really have a hard time moving on. And the thing is the guys I had in mind, I had specific guys in mind when I was writing this. It's funny because when you're a writer, they say you need to sort of picture your avatar. Who are you writing this book for? And there were several guys in my original 3% man group that I was a part of years ago, where the reason why they even joined the group, the reason why they found Corey Wayne and stuff like that was because they were trying to reattract an ex. And in fact, that's how a lot of guys find Corey Wayne, is they're trying to like Google search how to get your ex back. How do I get my ex back? Right. And so they find their way to the space, and some of these guys literally wasted multiple years dealing with exes, trying to get exes back, hoping for exes to come back around. This one guy I know was like ended up becoming a total Chad too, right? He really worked on his game and all that stuff, but he would go out and spin plates, and he was banging all these other chicks, but the whole time he was comparing all these chicks to his ex, and he was hoping that he could reattract his ex. And within a period of, I want to say 4 years, he reattracted her, got back together with her, and broke up with her at least once a year. and it was like, bro, what are you doing? Why do you keep doing this? You keep doing this to yourself, right? But then there's other guys that just sit around and wait. They just let their life flow by, okay? Life is very short. Life is extremely short. I was talking about it last week on Friday. This book called something about infinity on Netflix. God, I can't remember it. Hold on. Netflix Infinity. Documentary. What's it called? A trip to infinity. Okay. So I was watching A Trip to Infinity right before last Friday's episode, which was really good. And one of the things they talked about was just how old our universe is. And when you put it in the perspective of infinite, like a never ending time frame for the universe or whatever, our finite, 70, 80, 90 years on the planet is a blink of an eye. And so when you're talking about wasting, a year, 2 years, 3 years waiting and sitting around waiting for this chick to come back into your life, you are wasting that blink of an eye that you already have doing that. It's an absolute monumental waste of your time when you think about it, right? So you're never going to get over her by just sitting around waiting. Okay. You've got to put some work in. There's work that you can do to make this process go by faster. All right. And when I say 90 days or less, it's not some vague promise without structure behind it. A lot of you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, right? But in all the Red Pill Guides series books, I've written accompanying workbooks that go with them, and they're 12-week workbooks. That's why I say 90 days or less, because technically it's less than 90 days. It's like 84 days or something like that. But if you listen to this on repeat, you do what's talked about in this book, you work on your game and your frame, your mindset mostly about this sort of thing, and then you do the workbook with it. It's a daily exercise. It takes you about 10, 15 minutes at most a day. You are going to get over this chick much faster. You're going to realize that you are wasting your time pining over a chick that probably broke up with you in her mind months or years before she actually did it in real life. Okay. So the real thing, the real process starts when you accept that it's over. So a lot of you guys can't get over her because you're sort of leaning on hope. You're hoping that she changes her mind. You hope that she comes to her senses. You hope that this new guy that she left you for, she realizes what a schlub he is and how great you were. And so you're just waiting around, okay? But you are going to waste so much time that it's really kind of it's kind of sickening when you think about it, right? So you've got to accept that it's over. That is the first wall you have to break through. Okay, nothing changes for you until you stop arguing with reality and stop acting like there's still something left to save. It's gone. It's done. It's a lesson learned. Okay, learn your lesson from it, and now it's time to move on and do better going forward. Okay. Now, let me ask you guys this. What kept you stuck the longest after your last breakup? Was it hope, memories, or checking up on her? Let me know either in the chat or down below if you're watching the replay. What kept you stuck the longest after your last breakup? A lot of guys think that obsessing over their ex is somehow it's proof that this was a special relationship. But the thing is that's not proof. It's not proof that she was special at all. And I really want you guys to really wrap your minds around this. Okay. There's a concept of the one. There's a concept of soulmates and stuff like that. And that's really romantic fantasy. It's just fundamentally not true. It's not true that there's only one person out there for you and that there's a soulmate or whatever. That doesn't exist. And I'm a woo-woo guy, right? I'm a woo-woo guy, and I still don't believe in the concept of a soulmate, right? I want you to think about this from a mathematical perspective. If there's 4 billion women on the planet, okay, and even if your ex was 1 in a million, that means that there's 4,000 chicks just like her out there, okay? She's not special. she's not special, okay? And you obsessing over her is not proof that she was special, okay? Really what obsession is it's your ego. Your ego took a hit, and that rejection breeds obsession. And now all you can think of is getting her back, proving that you are worthy, proving that this is the right relationship, proving that you are a good guy. And it's all about qualifying to her, which actually further kills your attraction anyway. Right? Anytime you're qualifying yourself to a woman, you are putting yourself at a position below her. You're putting her on a pedestal, and she has no choice but to look down on you. You're just shooting yourself in the foot either way. Okay. So it's not helpful. And it's really just your ego's bruised, and you don't like the fact that she decided that you weren't it, right? You weren't it. So every time you try to get her back, you actually make things worse for yourself. Okay. So you actually keep this wound open, and you stay stuck in self-doubt, and you keep putting your value in her hands. And this is exactly the kind of pattern that I was seeing these guys in the original 3% man group. They were constantly trying to get her back, and they were really just digging a deeper and deeper hole. And a lot of these guys, there's one guy specifically, man, he had it bad too. He was with this single mom, right? And I'm one of the guys in the space that if I bag on single moms, I'm doing it tongue in cheek. I actually don't hate single moms. I think single moms are great for single dads. You know, like I'm one of the few guys in the red pill space that think that, you know, single moms aren't terrible, right? But this guy was with a single mom, and she had just had a kid when he met her. And so this kid was like, I don't know, maybe 1, maybe 2 when he first met her. And he essentially helped her raise this kid because, she ended up getting knocked up by some guy, and that guy didn't want anything to do with her, and whatever, story is old as time. So anyway, this guy was the guy who stepped up and helped her raise this kid. And then she dumped him. And then he was he still felt this obligation to this kid. and it's like, bro, like he's not even your kid. He's not even your kid, man. And she was happy to use him for resources. She was happy to have him fix her car when it would break down, and happy to have him come over and do handyman stuff for her and her kid. And she would give him nothing in return, nothing. And he was hoping that doing all this nice guy covert contract type stuff would get her back. And then it would just further put him into this depression. The dude was like majorly depressed the entire time I knew him. And it was like, he would always come to me like every couple of months and be like, oh, she's doing this again. And I'm like, why are you even entertaining this bitch at this point, dude? You are allowing this to happen to you. Right. And so a lot of these guys are doing this, just holding out hope that it works out, that all this nice guy shit pays off, and it's making it worse for them. She's using you, bro. She's using you, okay? And you're allowing it. So you have to kill the what if loop. You find yourself in this position of, well, what if this time's different? What if it works this time? Okay. As long as you keep replaying what you could have said or what you should have done or what maybe might work this time, you're going to stay trapped in the same mental cage, and you're never going to move forward. You're never going to move on with your life. And that's really the crux of all this. She's moving on with her life, and you are still staying stuck in the past, and you are not living your life. You're not enjoying your life, bro. Okay. So you've got to get rid of the what if loops. All right. So I highly recommend, if you haven't done it yet, if you're in this spot, grab Forget That Bitch, either on Kindle, paperback, hardcover, or listen to it on audio.
You got dumped, divorced, or ghosted? Good. Because that pain you're feeling right now, if you use it right, it can make you unstoppable. But first, you need to forget her for good. Most men, they waste months, even years chasing closure that never comes. They keep scrolling her feed, stalking her socials, replaying every word she said. That's not just self-torture, it's weak. And you're not weak, not anymore. Forget what your buddies or your mom tell you. Screw being vulnerable. This isn't about making her see your worth. It's about never letting a breakup wreck you again. That's exactly why I wrote Forget That Bitch. This book isn't your average breakup advice. No sugarcoating, no false hope, just raw, honest truth. She's not coming back. You can't fix what's broken, and you're wasting your life every second you spend obsessing. So what do? You get pissed, then you get focused. You rebuild your confidence. You hit the gym, chase your purpose, build your empire. This is your wake-up call. Use the pain as fuel. Cut the cord cold. Because the minute you stop caring about her, your real comeback starts. Inside Forget That Bitch, you'll learn why obsessing over your ex is killing your masculinity. Why you need to quit being a nice guy and start being the man you were born to be. Real steps, real talk, no bullshit. Ready to stop living in her shadow? Grab Forget That Bitch on Amazon or listen to it on Audible today. Don't just get over her. Get over the man you used to be and never let this happen again.
Indeed. By the way, all the Red Pill Guide books come with an accompanying workbook that really is like lighting gasoline on the process, right? And I mean that in a good way. So if you guys didn't notice this, inside the cover of like all the books is a QR code where you can find the workbook on Amazon. Hold on, does this one have it? Because I didn't originally have these. Let's see here. Before you begin, yeah. See, there's a QR code in here. And then also in the audio version, I give you a URL that you can go to. I dropped a link to the workbook in the chat, but if you go to workbook.getoveryourx.us, you can get the workbook directly from me. But either way, grab the workbook and then listen to the audiobook daily, and you're going to get over your ex so much faster than you would sitting around just hoping, just wishing. Okay. Phil's in the house. He says, hoorah. What's up, brother? Dar Fitness says, smashing that like button is alpha, that's a factual statement. Every time you hit like, that's +1 alpha. Okay. And then Dar Fitness also says, that's not exactly the answer, but waiting and keeping hope is stupid. You're listening to love songs while she's getting her guts rearranged. Do the work and level up. That's true. Oh shit. $5,000 super chat. I can't believe you are so generous today, man. I appreciate that. He wants to shame these whores. Well, I will give him that.
Shame this horse.
Yes, we've got to. That's what we do on this channel. And then let's see here. Rob sent $9,990. That's you guys. You guys are really spoiling me here. He said, value for value. Appreciate this book. I have it on my Kindle app. So paying fair value. This book has really helped me and made me understand the internal power I have and how to go forward. Thank you. I'm glad you like that book, man. I appreciate that. And then Brother John says, checking up on her. It's like keeping the knife in the wound and twisting it every time you look. So dumb. Oh God. I've said this story on the podcast before, right? After my breakup with Red Pill Chick, I thought I was over her, right? This was literally a year later to the day of the breakup. And I was going to bed and I had a moment of weakness and I decided, let me check her socials. Like a dumbass, right? Let me check her socials and see what she's up to these days. And the funny thing is that it wasn't the first time I'd done that. I'd done that like months previous when I was still like, not over her. And the thing is that she always keeps her socials on lockdown. Like she's very good at making everything private. None of her pictures show up. It's all very private. Well, that specific night, it's like she knew, right? She had all these pictures of her and her new boyfriend, and they're all out rafting and whatever. And the thing was the guy that she was with in that picture, I realized was her coworker, and he was a guy that she invited over to her house while she and I were still dating, because he offered to let her borrow his ladder and his power painter to help her paint her new condo. And like all of this shit just starts flashing in my head, right? Like, oh shit, she was fucking this dude before we broke up, And it was like all of a sudden I just remembered like flashing back to like the last month of our relationship. And I remember one of the last times I went down to visit her, she had hid away my dog bed because I had a dog. She passed away last year. But I had a dog that I would take down to her house every other week, and I would leave a dog bed down at her house and dog dishes and all that kind of stuff. And all that stuff was hidden away, right? Like she always left it out before, but this time everything was hidden away. So the dog bed was hidden away in the closet. The dog dishes were put up in the garage somewhere. And like my toothbrush, which is normally in the toothbrush caddy, was hidden in a fucking drawer. And at that time, I didn't think much of it. And I did ask her about the toothbrushing. She's like, oh, I was just tidying up. I was putting things away. Right. But it's like, you've never done this before. And the timing of dude bringing his power painter over, it was just too much. And I couldn't fucking sleep that night. I absolutely couldn't sleep that night. And it was at that moment I realized that, looking at her shit was toxic as fuck. I shouldn't be doing that. So I blocked her, and I blocked her not so that she couldn't see what I was doing, but so that I wouldn't be tempted to go back and look at what she was doing. And I realized in that moment, like, fuck, dude, if I even, if I don't have the willpower to do this, I need to fucking cut this shit off, because I'll never get over her if she's always like, if I'm, thinking about looking back, if I'm looking at old pictures and all this type of stuff, right? So you have to fucking cut that shit off cold turkey so that you can focus on you and stop thinking about her, right? I'm being vulnerable with you guys right now, okay? This is the trust tree. So you got to cut off the fuel source, right? So that means deleting, blocking, getting rid of old photos, gifts. Stop doing things that make this breakup real enough for you in your mind to stop feeding on it, okay? So anything that brings back all those old memories, you got to get rid of it. You've got to. Now, if she gave you some kind of expensive gift, maybe sell it so you can get some money back for it, right? But you understand the idea. You having pictures up of you guys together, that's got to go away. That you either got to get rid of it or put it in a box somewhere so you're not seeing it. But there's no reason to hold on to pictures like that, in my opinion. There's no fucking reason. You know what I mean? Like, it's done. The relationship's done. Fucking get rid of the pictures. Get rid of all that shit. Okay. You have to stop casting yourself as the victim and start taking some ownership too. Okay. So that doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything, but it does mean looking at where you ignored red flags, where you tolerated disrespect, where you handed away your power. Okay. A big theme in all my books is about men setting the tone and taking the lead in their relationships. And a big reason why relationships don't work out is because you're not fucking doing that. And we're trained not to. We're trained to be nice guys. Like, social programming has us being bumbling fools, right? If you watch Married with Children, it's all just, it's all just social programming, making husbands and boyfriends out to look like fucking idiots. And women are these miraculous things that men can't even live without these creatures. And it's like, that's fundamentally not true. If you take ownership of your life, if you start setting the tone and leading your relationships, you'll realize that men really are the prize. This world wouldn't even exist if men didn't fucking build it. And so we're not bumbling fucking idiots. You've been socially programmed to be a fucking bumbling idiot, nice guy. Okay. So once you realize that and take ownership of that and be like, never fucking again, I'm never letting that shit happen again. That's going to empower you. Okay. That's going to empower you. Being a victim is only going to disempower you. We're going to talk about that on Friday's episode. That's what Frame Friday is about, is getting rid of your victim mentality. Okay. Take some fucking ownership. And the version of you that got dumped can't be the same version that builds your next chapter, or it's just going to happen again. Okay. That's a big theme that I talk about in Get Her to Fuck You Again. For guys where their relationships have eroded to a point where they're basically in a dead bedroom situation, you're almost here. You're almost at forget that bitch stage. Okay. So if you want to turn that around, you have to take ownership and start fucking running your life and start setting the tone in your relationship. But a lot of guys don't do that. They don't learn that lesson until after they've been dumped, until after the shit hits the fan. That's when most guys find their way to red pill, right? There's two avenues that people typically find their way into the red pill. One is they're Googling, why won't my wife fuck me anymore? Right. And then the second one is, I got dumped. How do I get my ex back? Right. Those are the two avenues into the space. So that's why I wrote these two books first. Cappy, Aaron Clary, back in December or January, read the third book of the series, Keep Your Bitch. And he's like, I don't understand why Paul didn't release this first, because wouldn't you want a guy to, work on his relationship, or after he got a new girlfriend, read this book first, and then if things go south or are going south, then maybe he reads this book, but then if he can't turn things around, then he reads this book? Like, why wouldn't you do in that order? And the thing is that these books are a which way type adventure series. Okay. It really depends on where you are at in your life. And the way I envisioned this was, most guys are in relationships that are failing and they're trying to turn it around. Okay. But if you can't turn it around because you waited too long, then she's going to dump your ass. And now you got to learn how to move on. Okay. But once you move on, then you typically find a new girl. And if you don't work on all this shit, you're going to end up in the same relationship with the same woman, just with a different face. And you're going to have the same problems in your next relationship, unless you read Keep Your Bitch on how to fucking not do that. Okay. So there's a method to how I wrote this stuff out. Clary just didn't understand that. But also, Clary's he's kind of like the MGTOW guru in the space. He wrote the MGTOW Bible. If you guys ever read the Book of Numbers, that's totally the MGTOW Bible. That and the menu and the Book of Numbers. He wrote those two books. But the version of you that got dumped can't be the same version of you that rebuilds your next chapter, or you're going to have the same problems in your next relationship. That means you've got to fundamentally change who you are in relationships. And that means killing your inner nice guy. You've got to absolutely kill that inner nice guy. It's not going to work. Doesn't mean you can't be a kind man. Doesn't mean that you can't be a caring man. Okay. But you can never be a nice guy. And this confuses a lot of people. Okay. When I talk about nice guys, I'm talking about nice guy syndrome, which is a term coined by Dr. Robert Glover. If you ever read his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's a life-changing book, but you'll realize that nice guys are anything but nice. A lot of nice guy behavior it shows up as neediness. It shows up as guys with abandonment issues. It shows up as guys doing things to get things. And then when they don't get those things, they have temper tantrums like they're fucking toddlers and shit. They're anything but nice. It's a facade that they put on, that they've built an identity around. That's just not true. And women see through it, right? Women see through it. So you've got to kill that guy. Rolo says you've got to kill the beta before the beta kills you, right? It's the same thing. Same idea. We're all talking about the same shit. By the way, guys, oh, that's not what I want. I want this one. Guys, do send super chats, would you? I do this full time, and your super chats actually support the show probably more than anything else. I mentioned it before, but the ads that they put on YouTube and the ads they put on Spotify, they only pay pennies. So I'm really funded by viewers like you. Okay. The next step is rebuilding self-respect through standards and boundaries. Okay. So you need to get clearer on what you stand for, where you gave too much, and what you are no longer willing to tolerate. Now, there's a concept that we teach in the red pill space that I don't think a lot of guys quite understand. But women are only as shitty as we let them be. Okay. Women are only as shitty as we let them be. That means that a lot of times nice guys, especially nice guys, will tolerate bad behavior. They'll tolerate disrespect. They'll do all that kind of stuff in the hopes of keeping peace, right? How many times have you heard a guy say, oh, I don't want my peace messed up. Like, don't mess up my peace. And so a lot of guys will go black pill MGTOW because they want to keep their peace at all costs. And they think women disrupt their peace and all this kind of stuff. You've got to understand that peace starts up here. Okay. Peace starts within. It starts in your head. It's how you look at things. It's the stories you tell yourself. It's your mental frame. That's what will give you peace. And when a woman is acting shitty, it's because you're tolerating it in order to keep the peace. Okay. So you've got to learn not to tolerate bad behavior. And the thing is that when you stop tolerating bad behavior, right? And it's really easy to do when you're dating, because you know, if this chick's acting up, you just fucking don't go on a date with her, right? You cancel the date or you take her back home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not dealing with this shit, right? It's way easier to walk away from a chick when you're just dating. Okay. Once you get married now, and you haven't been working on stuff, that's when it becomes really hard. It's really easy if you get into a committed relationship that you've set the tone and standards from the beginning, because now she knows where the line is. She knows what she can and can't do. She's already tried to push your boundaries. You've already corrected her. And now she's just relaxed into her feminine and she's following your lead. Like, it's way easier to train these chicks from the get-go than it is to try to train a chick that's been acting bad for years. Okay. So, but that requires you to learn new skills. Okay. Your relationship problems are a skill issue. They're a skill issue. Your dating problems are a skill issue. A lot of guys like to point the finger at women, all these modern women or whatever. It's like, no, dude, it's a skill issue. It's a skill issue, man. You've got to learn these new skills that none of us were taught. They don't teach this shit in elementary school. They don't teach this shit in high school, right? Your parents probably have a toxic relationship themselves. And that's where you learned your relationship skills from. You didn't learn them from a healthy model. You know what I mean? Most of us Not, of course, some of you guys might have had perfect fucking parents, and you probably have perfect marriages because when you learn these skills from your parents and you carry those into your own relationship. Okay. But a vast majority of us were raised in dysfunctional families of some form at some higher dysfunction than others, right? But we learned this stuff from our parents. We were never taught this stuff. And then we carry what we learned from our parents into our relationships, and we have the similar or worse failures. Okay. And until you recognize that and you realize that what you've been doing is ineffective, you'll never have happiness in your dating and relationship life. So you've got to learn these new skills so that you can learn how to, set standard or have standards for one, and be able to set those boundaries. Most guys don't have any standards. None. They have zero. They don't even know what they're out there looking for. They just, they take whatever they can get. And that's one of the reasons why I talk about it in Forget Your Bitch, but I point you to Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. I talk about the magic of a contenders list, where you write down everything that you want in a woman, the ideal woman. You sit down, you write it out. And I'm not talking about you mentally do this. I'm talking about with a piece of fucking paper and a pen. You literally sit down for maybe 30 minutes and just really write out a list of 10, 20 traits that you want your ideal woman to have. And then you go through and you highlight your top 5. Like these 5 are must-haves. If she doesn't have these 5 things, she's not a contender. And what I mean by contender means you will never be in a long-term committed relationship with her, whatever that looks like for you. Okay. She's not a contender for that. She's only for fun. She's only for spinning plates. You can date a lot of chicks that will check most of your boxes, but if she doesn't check those top 5s, she's only a plate. Okay. And that's okay. That's okay. Because the more picky you are about this, the more actually your reticular activating system is going to make women that have those types of attributes stand out to you. Okay. But also you're not going to get into relationships that you should have never been in to begin with if you do this. And then likewise on the other side of the paper, you're going to write out a list of qualities you don't want. Right. Now, the thing is that we get what we focus on in life. We absolutely get what we focus on in life. So what most guys do are focusing on the don't want column. I don't want this. I don't want a chick that does this. And so the thing is that what you focus on, your reticular activating system thinks is important and will show you these women. That's why if you watch shows like Fresh and Fit or whatever, all you see are these OnlyFans, 304s. And so now your mind just shows you those types of women, just trash women everywhere. And you're like, the dating market sucks. All these trash women, because you don't see any of the good women out there because you're focused on what you don't want. Okay. So you make your list of things you don't want. And the same thing is you highlight the top 5 deal breakers, which means that if you're out dating and a chick has any of the 5 deal breakers, you don't even spin her as a plate. You dump that bitch right there. Okay. That will keep you out of relationships you should have never been in to begin with. And it really forces you to exercise your standards. This chick is acting like this. Don't even tolerate that shit. Just move on. There's always another chick. Okay. There's another bus every 15 minutes, as Corey Wayne says. A lot of your pain probably came from approval seeking behavior, right? Maybe you over-explained, you overgave, avoided conflict, and tried to earn love by being easy to deal with. And if you don't fix that, you carry the same problem into the next relationship. Okay. A lot of the stuff is you're going to repeat history until you fix those ineffective relationship paradigms. Okay. So and then also a big thing that guys need to work on is their fitness level, right? Now, a lot of guys will do this instinctively, right? A lot of people will do this when they go through a breakup, is like they've let themselves go. That's a big reason why a lot of people end up breaking up is because they let themselves go. And then when they find themselves back on the dating circuit, they're struggling and they're like, man, I need to go to the gym. 1, because I want to find a hot looking gym chick. And 2, I've let myself go and I'm not going to get the results I want unless I'm more of an attractive guy. What's funny about that is that a lot of guys do that as a means to an ends, right? They'll either work out and get back in shape to try to reattract their ex to be more attractive for her, or they work out and, become attractive so that they can attract a new chick, thinking that they've reached a magical finish line. And once they get into that relationship, they fall into the same pattern. They let themselves go. They stop working out. They start getting fat again. And then the process continues, right? Either way, you're repeating bad relationship paradigms, your bad behaviors that aren't helping you. Okay. So your body has to become a part of your recovery. Okay. And this gets easier when you train, when you eat better, when you start stacking wins, you can actually measure in the mirror, in the gym, and your daily routine. One of the cool things about the gym, right, is not only does it actually help with stress, it actually, going to the gym has been shown for men to be better than therapy. It's better to go and work out this type of shit in the gym. But what's really great about it too, and this is one of the reasons why in Red Pill we're always saying, lift, bro, go to the gym, it's because it's one of the first things that you see. It's one of the fastest ways you can start seeing progress right away. Okay, when you're working on game, you're dealing with law of averages. You are going to get rejected a lot because a lot of women aren't available that you might think are available. A lot of women won't like you, and that's fine, right? But when you go out, a lot of guys just can't handle that kind of rejection. It's a slow process going back out in the dating circuit. But going to the gym, as long as you're consistent with it, you're going to see results. You absolutely will. There's science behind all this shit. If you guys need help working out and getting back in shape, Dar Fitness in the chat. He's a Wolfpack brother. He's an expert on fitness. You guys could join the Wolfpack, get in the fitness accountability group. He's in there. He'll pick, you can pick his brain and stuff like that. You can work with him directly. Okay. Guy's a fucking genius when it comes to this shit. When it comes to supplements and nutrition and dialing in your macros and all that kind of stuff, you can get all that if you join the Wolfpack and work with Dar Fitness. Okay. So if that's a thing for you, it's a science. As long as you follow the process, you will see results. And as you're seeing results, it becomes a positive feedback loop. Okay. And then that's going to build your confidence and you're going to do better going forward. Speaking of the Wolfpack, when's now a good time to run with the Wolves, brother?
Bear Club? Not anymore.
What's broken? You lead like a man again. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just frame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in, steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Oh, for the love of God, somebody to sweet me. Brother Dar Fitness says it removed my comments. Man, there's something up with YouTube lately. I will say this, guys. YouTube has built-in filtering, so certain keywords will flag and they won't publish it. Just FYI. I don't, that also helps me not get demonetized for you guys being artards out there, but he says it removed my comment. I said I got over an ex by getting on top of other women. That's not the answer, but it helps briefly. And that's, that's the common advice you get in the red pill space, right? Like to get over one woman, you need to get on top of 10, right? What I found though is it's easy to say, it's fun to say, and it actually is kind of inflammatory, and that gets clicks. But what most guys do in this position is every chick they get on top of, they're comparing her to their ex, and this chick's not good enough. She doesn't compare to the ex, right? And so they're still thinking about the ex, so it doesn't really help. You've got to be more intentional about this process. But I hear you. It's fun to do. It's fun. It's fun to bang, out of town strange. Everybody knows that. He goes, oh, she was using his power painter. Oh, he definitely power painted the inside of her. Okay, we don't need to get into that. The best part is when they spin the block and you are repulsed by them because you've leveled up so much. You can never take them back. Not seriously anyway. Pump and dump isn't a bad play. Yes, that's true. Once you've been broken up, she can never be your main plate again. Ever. She's permanently demoted. And if she dumped you, she demoted herself. So if she comes back around, just know that she was hoping that you would be on the back burner for her in case this new guy didn't pan out, and then you would be her plan B option. You should be fucking insulted by that. Okay? You should be insulted by that. She does not deserve a place as main plate. She's only, a plate at best. Okay? Hit it and quit it. Move on with your life. User says, how can this book work either co-parenting, meaning raising a girl and just not been a completely asshole and having boundaries, not crossing lines, but been kind and not being dragged. Oh, okay. I think I know what you're saying. Hold on one second. He says, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. She tries to get me low key back, but I don't entertain. Okay. So you have a daughter together, right? Here's the thing with that. Because I'm still very serious about like blocking them on social media, blocking them on any other, like any kind of social interactions. Don't be around her. Don't check up on her. Don't keep, friends and then ask them, hey, what's she up to? And any of that kind of shit, right? You want that out of your life. You want pictures thrown away, all that kind of stuff. But if you co-parent with her, you do have to have a line of communication open, right? So what I would say with that is keep it business only. Okay. It's logistics. It's about the kids only. Otherwise you don't fucking entertain her. So you might block her on social media and get rid of all the pictures and all that kind of stuff. So she's not in the forefront of your mind. And then you leave one avenue open where she can communicate with you. And it's almost better, especially if you're divorced, to keep that to text formats like email and text. That way you have a record of your communication. And if she ever tries to use shit against you, you can keep a record for court and stuff like that. That's what I would say to that. You keep it cordial, but keep it business only, and only use like 1 or 2 lines of communication. You don't need to be friends on social media. You don't need to, fucking be buddy and go to cocktail parties and shit where she might be there. Like completely get rid of her that way. Okay. Business only, logistics with just the kids. Mike Steele says, yeah, user, your question doesn't make a lot of sense. Can you rephrase it? So you and your wife are divorced and you're co-parenting a daughter. He's asking. Yeah, that's sort of what I got from it. That's how I answered it anyway. And let's see here. Jay Will says, plan B with none of the fun from the night before. Exactly. You get nothing. She's keeping you on the back burner and you get no benefit from it. So fuck that shit. Okay. Discipline. Discipline beats overthinking. Okay. When you're working out, tracking your food, keeping promises to yourself, you spend less time sitting around feeding the same thoughts. And that's a big problem with guys that are just waiting around, is the rumination, the ruminating brain, right? How many of you guys struggle with rumination where you, constantly, maybe, you're constantly just reliving shit in the past. You're always worrying about things, or maybe you're worried about future events and you're like, what if this might happen? You start playing out scenarios in your head. Either way, how many of you guys do that? Just let me know in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat if you have a problem ruminating. One of the legends in the Wolfpack, this was something that he was working on for a while there, was he had a really bad problem with ruminating brain. And the thing is about ruminating is, if you're worried about the past a lot, that typically leads to depression. That's why a lot of guys, when they're going through a breakup, they're depressed because they're just reliving, they're ruminating about the past mistakes and all the all this type of stuff and all the good times that they used to have. And now she's not there. And like their mind just goes down this fucking rabbit hole of shit they can't change. It's in the past, right? The past doesn't exist. It's in your head. It doesn't, it's not even real. Okay. The only reality we have is right now, which we talked about last Friday. And then the future, when you're worried about what typically leads to anxiety. So if you have a problem with anxiety or depression, it's usually because you're not living in the present moment, in which you're fine. You're actually fine in the present moment. You're okay. This is where stuff like gratitude practice is helpful, because gratitude forces you into the present moment. So if you find yourself ruminating, right, you're thinking about like worrying about past shit or worrying about future stuff, force yourself into the present moment by thinking of 10 things you're grateful for now, right? I'm grateful for and it could be anything. It could be, I'm grateful for, clothes to wear. I'm grateful for food in the cupboard. I'm grateful for a roof over my head. I'm grateful for a sunny day outside. I'm grateful for a cup of coffee in your no cold approach in the cow pasture mug. All right. Like it could be anything. Hold on. Is there something wrong with my audio, guys? Let me know in the chat. Is there something wrong with my audio? Let me know. Because Rob says audio in the chat. Is my audio on? I see the little light bars here, but can you guys hear me okay? Drop a 1 in the chat, would you? All right, moving on. So discipline beats overthinking. So you need a mission. You need a mission that matters more than getting picked. Is there something? Now, this guy's saying audio too. Guys, come on, help me out. Is there something wrong with my audio? Let me know. Audio is fine. Okay, thanks, Mike. Jesus Christ, guys, quit fucking with me. All right. So you need a mission, okay? You need a mission that matters more than getting picked. So you get over her faster when your life is about more than one woman's opinion of you. You need something bigger to build. And this was actually something that kind of blew my mind the first time I ever heard it. But I had 2 of my mentors in this space actually talk about being purpose-driven, having a purpose in life outside of women. And Corey Wayne talks about that. Dr. Robert Glover, they both talk about that. You got to be a man on a mission. And a lot of guys think that their work is their mission in life. But for a lot of you guys, you don't like your job. It's not your mission in life. It's a means to an end. I'm talking about, when I talk about mission, I'm talking about something that drives you, something that you're passionate about, something that gets you up in the morning, you're excited about. Okay. Now, for some of you, that might be your career. Maybe you do love it that much. Okay. But most people don't. Most people they have a job and they don't like it that much. They don't like their boss and they go there every day and they fucking suck it up and they do it. That's not their purpose in life. Like, what drives you? A good example of this is years ago. I had a coworker back when I was working in IT. I worked for this construction company. They were a master building planning company where they would buy huge tracts of land. They would plan it out, put supermarkets on it and subdivisions and housing and all that kind of stuff. And they would coordinate all that stuff with builders and whatever. They were a multi-billion-dollar company. It was pretty interesting to work for. And one of the guys that worked there with me was a desktop technician. And he and I got to talking one day, and we were talking about careers. And at that time, I was really working on leveling up in the IT space. I had just gotten promoted to systems administrator, and he was still doing desktop type stuff. And we were talking about that. And he was like, yeah, when I talk to people, I don't tell them I work in IT. I go, really? What do you tell people you do? He goes, I'm a musician. And he was he was in a band that sort of traveled up and down the coast of California, playing different gigs in like LA and stuff like that. And so on the weekends, he was on the road playing music and doing all that kind of stuff, doing the stuff that he loved, he was passionate about. So for him, his purpose in life, being in IT, was just a means to an end. He was like, yeah, no, this is just what pays the bills. What I love, what my passion is music, right? That's what I'm talking about when it comes to purpose. It's funny because I started this podcast out of the original 3% Man group. And I did it because one, I've always liked podcasting. I've always liked that stuff. This isn't my first rodeo at podcasting. I did my first stint at podcasting. I did, for my old tech blog, which is still out there years ago. And then that morphed into its own tech show that I would do once a week. And I wasn't really passionate about that specific podcast though, because that ended up becoming a job for me. It ended up becoming a second job, and I was tired of it. I didn't like doing it. It was hard coming up with new shit every week to talk about fucking computers and stuff. But when I found this space and I started studying this stuff and started studying relationships and intersexual dynamics, like I really found a passion for it. And I was like, you know what? I could start a podcast where I interview the other guys in the 3% Man group. And that's how the podcast started. And this has become a mission for me. It's become my purpose to help men level up and get better with women, right? I have a mission statement. When people ask me what I do, I help men level up and get better with women. Like that's what I do. That's my purpose in life. Okay. So you need to find something like that. Like, maybe podcasting isn't for you, but you need to find something that you're passionate about, that you love, because once you have that, it doesn't matter what else is going on. It doesn't matter what women come in and out of your life, because you have a purpose, right? Now, the thing about that is that women love men with purposes. They want to hitch their fucking wagon to a guy that's going somewhere. Okay. But most of you guys don't. Most of you guys make women your purpose. And so when you get dumped, your whole fucking universe collapses, because she was your universe. Right. So you've got to break yourself of that and find something else that gives life meaning for you. And you'll find that women will come. Like women will want to be with a guy that's with that. And then she'll want to support your mission. Right. But most of you guys put her on the pedestal, and then that gives women the ick that you're not using hypergamy to your advantage. And then she fucking dumps you for a guy with a Wagner power painter. Right. No contact. It's freedom. Now, if you read anything about how to get your ex back, and if you guys didn't know, I do have a free ebook. The link's not in the description anymore, but I'll drop a link in the chat if you guys want to look at it. ebook.getoveryourx.us. If you go to ebook.getoveryourx.us, you can grab this free ebook. And it says, it's called Fine. Here's how to get her back. Okay. Now, there's a proven process that's taught in the space. If you work with any get your ex back type coach, they're going to be following this process. It's a 7-step process for getting your ex back. Okay. It's a terrible fucking idea. That's why the ebook is called Fine. Here's how you get her back. Because it'll walk you through that process, but it'll tell you why it's a terrible fucking idea. Okay. You can get that by going to ebook.getoveryourx.us. But one of the first things in there, the first steps is no contact. Do no contact. If you follow any get your ex back coach in the space, they're going to talk about go no contact a lot. And the big reason for go no contact in getting your ex back is because when you go no contact, it actually gives them time to forget about all your bullshit and to only remember the good times. It's the same thing that military veterans have years after the military. Like, we tend to only remember the cool sea stories and all that kind of stuff, and the times in Thailand or whatever. I actually never got to go to Thailand or the Philippines in the Navy, but one time I went to a strip club in King's Cross, which is a sort of the red light district in Sydney, Australia. And there was this place there called Porky's, and Porky's was a renovated theater. So there was a stage and there was theater seating, and these chicks would get on stage and do their striptease and stuff. And this one chick one time pulled a guy up on stage and laid him down on the stage and put a dildo in his mouth and then fucked the dildo on the stage. What an amazing thing, right? Anyway, veterans remember the good times, right? We don't remember all the 7-hour fucking, working parties and field days and fucking vert reps and, unreps and all the fucking bullshit that we had to deal with. We remember the time at Porky's that some chick fucked a dude, fucked a dildo on the stage, and that dildo was in a dude's mouth. That's what we remember. Okay. So the same thing works with no contact. When your girl forgets all the bullshit and she can only remember the good times, that's typically when they come back around. And so a lot of guys sit around holding out hope, going no contact as a means to get their ex back. And what I invite you guys to do is to use no contact to forget about her. Okay. You need to put her out of your mind, and you will put her out of your mind faster if she's not in the forefront, if you're not fucking contacting her all the time. Okay. So that's another thing is you block her on socials. You don't text her unless, of course, you're co-parenting, then logistics only, but otherwise fucking go no contact. Okay. And do that so that you can focus on you and moving forward. Okay. Follow me on social media, guys. The links are in the description, would you? All right. So one thing too that a lot of guys will do is they can't be alone. They can't be alone. So you need to not jump back into dating like an idiot. Okay. One thing I recommend guys do is take some time to heal. Okay. So yeah, forget that bitch, get the workbook. Okay. You will start getting to a place where you're over her much faster if you do that. But even after the 90 days is over, I don't recommend you go out there and start dating again. And if you do start dating, don't date for anything serious. Okay. Only spin plates or whatever, but you don't want to be jumping into your next relationship. A lot of guys don't give themselves enough time to heal. They don't give themselves enough time to process what happened, to learn from it, anything like that. So I recommend taking at least 6 months off from dating and women and just focusing on you, your purpose, leveling up, getting in the best shape you can, start getting your money in order, all that kind of stuff. Work on you for at least 6 months. I would recommend. Okay. But I don't want you guys to quit either. I don't like the idea of, like, it's funny. I always pick on MGTOW guys. MGTOW exists on a spectrum, not unlike the autistic spectrum, right? But you have MGTOW guys that have completely given up on women altogether. They won't even entertain the idea of dating. They might go get a hooker or something, but they're not going to go out there dating ever again. They hate bitches. They don't trust them. And then there's guys over here who they still enjoy women. They still enjoy the company of women. They just might not ever get married again, right? Like there's no reason to get the government involved in our relationships. That's like, if that's you, that's where I'm at on that spectrum. I don't consider myself a MGTOW guy though, but those guys exist on the spectrum and they do consider themselves that. But I don't like quitters, right? A lot of these guys that have given up completely on women, they are still miserable human beings because they're not getting, like, we are meant to connect with women in life. Men and women were designed to come together. We were literally physically designed to come together. Okay. We are literally designed to complement each other. We are better together than we are apart. Okay. So just completely cutting them out of your life, it's going to leave an emptiness in you that you can't quite explain. And then that's going to manifest itself in fucking anger and bitterness and hatred. And that's not going to do you any good either. That's actually going to hurt you more just physiologically. You're going to have a heart attack, probably, whatever. I don't know. But don't jump back into dating. Give yourself some time to heal, learn from it, to work on this stuff, work on your mindset, so that you're better equipped going into your next relationship. Okay. I highly recommend that too. And the real upgrade's not just, getting over her and getting another woman. The real upgrade is having better standards, having better relationship skills, having better mental frame. Okay. It's learning who to say no to, who to avoid, and what kind of woman is wrong for your life, so that you find better women and you stop wasting your time with women that are going to hurt you later, or they're just wasting your time. Okay. You've got to learn to be more efficient when it comes to dealing with women. You'll find that when you do, the cream does rise to the top. It took me about 2 years to find Nurse Chick. It took me about 2 years, and Nurse Chick has put so much investment into this relationship. It's wild. It's why I've never had a woman treat me as well as Nurse Chick in my entire life. Okay. but I gave myself time to just enjoy the process, spin plates, not take anything too seriously, and work on myself and work on my relationship skills before I entertained a relationship with Nurse Chick, right? By the end of this process, you are not just going to be over her. You're going to be a completely different guy. Okay. You're going to have better habits. You're going to have a better outlook on life. You're going to have a better plan. Like I said before, most guys don't have a plan. They just sort of wing it and they get into relationships with the first chick that's nice to them. You have a better idea of the kind of man you need to be going forward, and not need to be for women, need to be for yourself, so that this shit never happens to you again. Okay. Now, it's funny because one thing that my goal for all these books is so that men never find themselves in this shitty position again. Now, that isn't to say that you're not going to end up in relationships that are going to end, but you're not going to be mentally crushed by it where you're pining over a chick, because you're going to get to a place where you've learned to be a little more lovingly detached when this sort of thing happens. And you realize, okay, well, she was, she's not yours, it's just your turn, right? Which a lot of people hate that term, but that's all about letting go of that attachment to an outcome, and learning to be more lovingly detached in your relationships. And the thing is that when you're more lovingly detached, you're more likely to have relationships that last longer. It's kind of a paradox, So the real win is not getting your ex back. The real win is reaching the point where it no longer matters. You stop checking, you stop replaying, you stop wondering, and start remembering who you were before you handed so much of yourself away to this chick that didn't value it. Okay. That's going to be the real win, when you win yourself back. Okay. So you can do it. You can do it much faster if you have the tools. So forget that bitch, get the workbook, and you're going to get over this so much faster, brother. So much faster. All right. That's all we got for this episode. What do we got here? Let's see here. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, it was the ad. Okay. The ad's audio was bad. Oh, that sucks. If you're ever considering taking her back after she left you for another, picture yourself in the Diddy chair in a hotel. That's you. Okay, okay, good. So the audio is fine. So the audio of the ad was bad. That sucks. Let's see here. I'm a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. Exactly. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? And let's see here. At least you weren't in a drinky bar in Camp Schwab, Okinawa. Mess duty. Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. Yeah. In the Navy, we did this thing we called it mess crank. You were mess cranking, and you had to go down and work in the galley. And we did it in boot camp. We had service week in boot camp where we had to go work in the galley, and that lasted like 2 or 3 weeks for me, I remember. So service week was fucking long. And then when I went to the ship, I also had to go mess cranking, and I had to work cleaning pots and pans. That fucking sucked, man. Yeah. Thanks for bringing back that shitty memory, brother. Like, fucking hell, man. Oh shit. $1,990. What about getting a friends with benefits? Thanks for the podcast. The problem with guys who haven't worked on their mental frame and that kind of stuff, a lot of times they're going to fall in love with the friends and benefits. They're going to fall back on the old programming. It's going to be really hard to stay lovingly detached until you work on yourself. So I would wait until the 90 days, listening to the audiobook, doing the workbook. I'd wait until till that's done before going out and trying to find friends with benefits personally. But if you're the kind of guy that can stay detached with that, then, go for it. It'll pass the time anyway. Right. Let me give him this one, because if he's talking about friends with benefits,
I'm just going to say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
He definitely fucks if he's talking about friends with benefits. All right. All right, guys. Mike's like, what the fuck, CJ? There's a guy in the comments, CJ. And what I love about CJ is he writes a lot of nonsense that it doesn't make sense. So I'm not bringing it up on the screen, but all that chatting he does boosts me in the algorithm. Like, God, he did one, I think Friday or something like that. And as soon as the episode was over, he wrote so much in the chat that the algorithm was like, this must be a popular video. And I got like fucking like 300 views in that first hour. I was like, hey, sound off, CJ. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right, guys, that's all I got for this episode. Remember, forget that bitch. Grab the workbook. Go to workbook.getoveryourx.us. Tune in to the podcast on Friday. We're going to talk about ditching victim mentality. Sadly, you see it a lot in this space, okay? Mainly from MGTOW guys or black pill incel types. Being a victim is one of the most disempowering things you can do to yourself, okay? So let's be better than that, shall we? You're not going to want to miss that episode, especially if you're a little bit of a doomer. But that's all I got. Please like, subscribe, hit those notifications if you haven't done so already. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we will see you next time.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.